and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky
Boys. As from our end, that was pretty in sync, and I think that's the best we can do.
Well, I was going to say that's from your end, because on my end, I intentionally came in a second early on both my name and the title drop.
It sounded great over here, which means it's definitely not going to work on the recording.
No, but maybe that means I've figured it out. Maybe that's I can never remember, should I try to come in a little early or a little late?
It's because we don't practice it.
Yeah, not like, a good professional podcast, they will rehearse those intros.
Yeah, we'd have done it 20 times in a row until we just had it.
That's why every other podcast you listen to, when they inevitably all hosts say the name of their podcast at the same time, it always sounds great.
Right, yeah.
Isn't it funny how that became an industry standard?
Yeah, I know. We were really industry leaders in that, because I think it started with our cast.
Yeah, it did start with us. Marin took it. Conan does it now. Joe Rogan does it all the time. Mm-hmm. We really set a lot of trends that way.
Trendsetters, what can we say?
Yeah. Plus all those Animorphs podcasts, basically, we kicked that off.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to any of those other ones, Morphin Time or whatever they're called, you got us to thank.
That's you made that up, right?
I feel like, isn't the biggest one Anamorphin Time or something?
I don't know. All right, but this one is the Yerky Boys,
right? Yeah, that's what you're listening to.
And boy, you're really joining us in the middle of a corker.
That's right. This is part 2 of the Andalite Chronicles, Alloran's Choice.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I didn't. Yeah, I was just gonna say I didn't really write up any kind of recap for the last one. I have a little bit just set the stage so you remember where we are. But
oh sure.
Like if you didn't listen to the last ep, if you don't remember the first half or never read it, don't start on this one. Go back to the last episode.
Who would do that? What kind of a psychopath would do that?
There are clearly people listening to this podcast out of order. We can tell by the viewer numbers. We know you're there.
Well, listen, okay. I can understand if you listen to a book out of order, but nobody's jumping into part 2 of one book.
Yeah, well, they're not now because I'm telling them not to.
Okay.
Start on part 1, listen to that, then you can come back here.
All right. Now, we do have this separate cover this week.
Yes. New cover.
There's not, I don't think, too much to talk about on it.
No. I mean, it's very similar to the last one, but more zoomed in, and Elfangor looks more like, I don't know, like gentle, and less like a badass. I don't know.
Is that really? He looks more gentle to you?
Maybe gentle's maybe not the word, but in the first one, he's imposing. He looks like he's about to fuck you up, and in this one, he just he still looks hard, but he's not. He's not about to fuck you up.
I don't know. His eyes look more menacing to me. It looks like he's got
his main eyes or his stalk eyes. His
both.
main eyes. His main eyes look a lot less menacing to me.
What? Are we looking at the same cover? How do they look? He looks mad. He looks like he is gonna fuck you up.
I mean, are you flipping back to the first cover and looking at him on that one? He's direct. I don't.
I mean, I guess he's not as head on, but whoever he is looking at, I feel like his eyes have a little bit more of the mean. I'm trying not to use the word slant, but that they're at more of an angle. You know what I mean? It's a more severe angle.
He's just serious. He's a serious guy. Listen, who here is the expert on Andalite body language?
I am, right?
I don't. I don't
Based
know
on this conversation, I seem to be.
I just don't
listen,
know.
When we see an Andalite, you You take the risk if you think
I
that he
will.
looks like he's in a good mood and you walk up to him and get
I
your
will.
throat fucking cut by his tail. Get him
No,
when he fucking puts some tail into you.
because I know all about Andalites, and I know what they think. Because they're not gonna think I'm a threat. I'm a silly guy on two legs. I know how to be funny. Break the ice. They'll be
you'll
like, "Look at
you'll
that guy." Yeah,
be doing some Charlie Chaplin shtick.
yeah, exactly. I'll be the little Charlie Chaplin. They won't even realize I'm a threat till I got him in a headlock. Then he'll see my strong arms, and he'll realize he's fucked.
Hmm. And what is their tail doing while he's in a
Well,
headlock?
well, by this point, I've already choked him out. It's all good, man. Trust
Okay.
me, humans are expert grapplers. Andalites don't know shit about that. Once we get in close, I could
Now,
take him, is what I'm saying.
all right. Whether or not you could take him, we have to table that for another day. But I will say one other thing on these covers. Now, I don't know if this is just Seropedia. Yeah, you know what? I think it is just Seropedia. I think their main image is just shittier.
Hmm.
Because the one I'm seeing, it looks like the second cover is like a much richer, more vibrant color palette. But I think they just have a washed out, shitty scan of the real cover.
I'm flipping back and forth, and it does seem like a little more, I don't know, dynamic in its color. Like it's the same palette, but like it's like more, it does seem a little more intense here. I wish I could
They
show
ha-
you this physical copy.
they have one scan that looks like somebody scanned the actual folded out, so you can see them connected to each other,
Mm.
and they look pretty close. It's not the other one I was looking at.
Yeah. I mean,
Was not.
if I flip it out, they just run directly into each other. I think it might just be a difference in like how they are painted. One might have a little bit more detail in the lighting
I
or
also
something.
thought maybe it's just because it's closer up, but certainly compared to the other Andalite depictions, this Andalite, maybe I said this last week too, but it looks a little like more cartoony to me. The face especially doesn't look as, I know it's stupid to say photorealistic because it's the fucking horse alien, but I feel like on the Axe book there was more of an attempt for it to look photoreal, and this looks more obviously in a
Hmm.
painted style, painterly kind of style to me.
I could
Um,
see that. I'd have to actually pull out the axe book, and I'm not going to do
I
that.
think
But
it's the eyes are a big part of it. Just like the way they're drawn looks more animated, if that
hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know.
you
What is
have a
he doing
lot
with
more to
his?
say about this than I was expecting.
Me too. Isn't this always how it goes? I don't have much to say about this. 40 minutes later, oh, never mind. I guess I did.
Uh,
I just wanted to end on what is he doing with his hand? He's got his hand in a position like he's kind of like he's got his index. Well, he's got 7 fingers, but
mhm.
whatever his pointer finger is, like it's not fully pointing. It's sort of like it's it's sort of like he's about to do an ET phone home, but his finger isn't quite got all the way up yet. I don't know what's going on with that.
I think he's stimming. Like I think he's not quite sure what to do with his hands. He's got like awkward little hands, right? That's what I think is going on.
Okay, yeah, all right, that tracks.
Yeah, it
All right,
makes
then
sense.
that's all I had. Then yeah, I'm good
Yeah.
for that.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah.
This is gonna be a shorter episode this week. People should know that.
Well, I mean, it certainly seems like it, right? Like it seems like there's not a ton to cover, although again, like last time, a lot of the little details are just like, oh, I might need to spend forever on this one tiny little thing that happened. But
Yeah, I just think we're in the middle of the book. This is, I think, pretty sure this is a bit shorter than last week's. There's not really many new characters we have to like get into. It's more straightforward this week.
yeah, I mean, maybe I was expecting that maybe we could get these episodes on average shorter, and last one was exactly the same length as normal. So yeah, maybe
Well,
these
I
two will
think
be
if we talk, let's talk for a little longer about how long we think it's going to
right.
be.
Yeah, let's. Do you want to place a bet?
I'm still going to say 90 minutes this week or more.
Okay, 90 minutes or more. Yeah, that makes a lot
And
of sense.
no email this week either. That email last week
Oh,
really stretched things out.
yeah. I was gonna ask if we had any extra
We
email this
don't.
week.
We don't.
Hmm.
We don't. Nothing to
Gotcha.
share.
Nothing to share. So
Sorry, controllers. No
we could.
sharing this week. So,
I guess we could jump right in.
yeah, let's jump right in.
Are we? Are we?
We're
I
ready.
can't. I can't believe we're ready to jump right in. Like
We're
it
ready to jump
feels.
because we already started this book. We're
It
in the
feels
middle
like
of it.
we always go twice this long. All right,
No, we
fine.
don't always go twice this long.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes
an
it's more.
exaggeration. It's usually around the 10-minute. Well, that's usually when we start the cover. but regardless, we're in it now.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. Um, I will do just a little teeny set the stage. Let's all
Yes.
remember where we were.
Previously on the
Okay.
Andalite Chronicles.
Right. That was really good.
Thank you.
So Elfangor is on the Taxxon homeworld, as we recall. He's cut off from his comrades, Alloran and Arbron. Um, Chapman, the human, he made contact with the Yerks, and he's like sold Lauren and the rest of humanity out to them. There is a time matrix on a Skritna ship that the Yerks don't know about, but that Elfangor has to get from them, and he is still just a cadet with no real experience, and he has no plan and no support. So, we're right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good
Yeah.
recap.
Yeah. No, it's not. This is more of a set the stage. Like I said, if you don't know who those people are, you got to go back. If you don't know what. Yeah.
I really want to. I hope I can be a big, strong Andalite one day. Come to the bridge. You gotta get these Skritna. Oh my God! There's a time matrix. Holy shit! We're Taxxons now. It's gross. I'm a viscer. Fuck you. Hey, get these humans. Get these
You
humans.
you missed the sultry voice being like, "Well, hey there, big sexy horseman."
Right. Yeah, well, it's yeah, but that's like how the previous song, and then underneath would be like the newsroom music, dum dum da dum dum dum. That's I don't know what the newsroom music. We all know what that is.
All right.
All right.
Well, we said there wasn't going to be a recap, but we just did it. So now you know. Now you don't have to go listen to the other one. So
Yeah.
Elfangor's in this situation. He's got his first thought. He's got to rescue Lauren, but he knows that's not true. So he flies off. Remember, he is in bird morph still. So he flies off to the Skritna ship in the bay and hopes to find a way to steal it or, maybe run into Arbron or Alloran, who would also be coming here, in theory. He flies under it and morphs Andalite and then Taxxon when Arbron in Taxxon morph shows up and is like, oh, hey, it's you. And they team up. So they walk onto the ship like, oh, nothing's wrong. We're just here for computer repair. Haha. And they get stopped by some Gedds, and they can't speak Gallard as Taxxons, but they use a tablet, we find out, to talk. They get on board the ship. They let him on to do the computer repair. They close the doors. They power up the engines and, take off. Haha, we got away. And Elfangor demorphs, but Arbron can't demorph. He has been trapped as a Taxxon Nothlet.
Yeah.
So that is our intro to this part here. We got... It really does read like another intro, right? Like it says on Seropedia this was released as 3 books, and I cannot find any corroborating evidence of this, and I have no memory of this, but like it is structured like the start of a new book, right? Like she spends a lot of time like expositing what's a Skritna, what's going on here. That was already.
That was the one part that I thought was strange that jumped out at me was the recapping what a Skritna is. Like the rest of it didn't. I felt like it all made sense. It didn't feel like a recap. That was the one thing that was like, we know you said that already. Why is that there? But yeah, I guess it makes sense. in that way. I mean, they don't spend nearly as much. It's like 2 sentences instead of like a paragraph or two.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was weird. But I guess maybe that is why. Maybe in some way, shape, or form, this was a separate book at some point.
Yeah, Wikipedia insists that it was. I don't know. I didn't find any like copies on eBay or anything like that.
The other thing I will say though about this part and your what you just read
Yeah.
is, I mean, this was if you just started listening to this, which we told you not to, or if you just started reading part two, the amount of techno babble that occurs in these opening few chapters is overwhelming. Like, there is so much fucking. The time matrix operates at 14 spliggity sploops per blork blop. It's just like, what the fuck does any of this shit mean? It's so wild.
Yeah, I hope everyone's ready to just jump back in. We're not going to ease you back.
It really is like, oh, you just like threw a cold glass of water in my face. Like, this was not. Yeah, no easing was done here. They explained the script knob, but like that's nothing compared to everything else you have to comprehend right now.
Right, yeah. Crazy.
There's a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where should we start? Do we talk about Arbron
Sure.
or
Do you want to I have a lot of just random junk in here. A lot of it's not important, but we could definitely Arbron's the important part, right?
well, no, then we'll save that because that's kind of the end of this section.
Okay.
Um, I had a couple. How does Chapman know about the time matrix? Did we
They told him
establish
about it.
they just told him about it?
Yeah, on
Why?
the ship
Why?
they were
Why?
having they were
Why?
having their silent conference and Chapman was like hey, I know you're leaving us out, remember? Now I'm recapping for you. You read it. You were here.
It's
Chapman was
hard
like,
to
"You don't leave us
remember.
out," and Elfangor was like, "Shut up, human. We don't whatever." But Alloran was like, "Nah, he deserves to know. Like we're dragging him away from his home. He deserves to know." So they told him what they were doing.
Okay, that's profoundly stupid. Alloran said that?
Yeah,
This is the guy who like is a stern leader, doesn't trust anybody, believes in the power of war crimes, but he's willing to tell a random human about the most dangerous weapon in the universe.
I think he just wanted to lecture him. I don't listen.
All right, I was just trying to square that one. I also still don't understand why Chapman is so evil, but we
Yeah,
already kind of covered that. But
we did, and this would be the book in which you could give him an arc, but they really don't, as we'll see.
no, he's just a piece of shit for some
Yeah.
reason. So there's that. Now let's talk about. I want to talk about Yerk hosts and Gedds
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
in particular.
I definitely want to talk about these Gedds.
So we've established that Yerks, their rate of reproduction, I guess, is just so high. They're like constantly searching for hosts, right?
I suppose so.
Is that what we're meant to? I'm sort of
It's
confused
not.
because,
It does seem like there are a lot more Yerks than there are hosts.
but at the same time, in the Animorphs books, we know that the Yerks, compared to humans, like humans are a weird species because there's so many of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm getting mixed messages as to whether the Yerks are in desperate need of hosts or they don't need that many because there aren't as many of them.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's somewhere in between. You're right. This is never directly addressed, but like it might not be wrong to be all like, listen, we could be putting Yerks in every single human, and then we would have all the Yerks would have hosts or something like that. But right now, only a small percentage of Yerks can have hosts. Um, yeah, it's not clear. Clearly, their rate of reproduction is much higher than like Hork-Bajir or humans. Or at least Hork-Bajir, right? This has got to be the case somehow. And a lot of these other species aren't that populous, and most of these other species aren't completely enslaved. Like, it's only the Gedds and the Hork-Bajir who are completely enslaved, as we will
Mm.
find out. Most of the other ones, they only have, like, a couple hosts captured here, a couple there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So there
so,
maybe
I
aren't
don't
really
know.
answers to my questions, but
Yeah, not really. I don't...
these are just things I was thinking about. And then, okay, so the Gedds who
Yeah.
we know are the Yerk's first hosts.
Yes, and they are native to the Yerk homeworld.
And they're kind of like, which I don't know, why isn't it the Ged homeworld? It's kind of fucked up. Uh,
Yeah, because nobody respects Gedds.
they're sort of like monkey-like. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I
And
always imagine them kind of looking like baboons with weird legs.
I'm picturing in my head like God, I don't know what I'm thinking of. I feel like there's a Futurama, just like a just some kind of dumb looking chimp or something, or from The
Hmm.
Simpsons maybe, like some kind of silly cartoon chimp just lumbering about.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that far off.
And they are clumsy. That's their whole
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
I'm still sort of confused between a lot of things are confusing me early on. Like we need
Mhm.
to really set me straight right now before we can continue.
Okay, good.
And none of them have anything to do with the plot of the book.
Right.
They keep stressing that Gedds are like the lowest form of Yerk host. The Yerks don't want to be in a Ged. That sucks, right?
Yeah, they'd rather be in a Ged than anywhere else, but like once you've been in another host, Geds just suck.
But are Gedds really worse than Taxxons?
Yeah, I find that very interesting. It like they actively imply in this book that Taxxon controllers are like more coveted and higher ranking Yerks are in Taxxons than in Geds. And part of that probably has to do with the Taxxons being their like technicians and pilots because they have more dexterous hands and better eyesight. But I don't know that you actually want to get promoted to a Taxxon host, right?
Yeah, it seems like it's terrible to be in one. And I also, it's such a strange choice to me that they're the technicians.
Right, well,
Like,
Gets have clumsy ass fingers, and Hork-Bajir are the fighters.
it just is so, like, when you first describe a taxon to me, it's a big fat centipede with
Yeah,
bulbous red jello eyes. I'm not thinking, oh, get that guy on a computer.
right.
Like,
Well, it turns
what?
out their little legs are super, like, delicate and dexterous and can do all this stuff really good. And they have good eyes for it, too.
So, did the Yerks like design their computers to be used by taxon hands, or they just can work with any systems they happen to have?
I mean, I don't. The implication seems to be that they're pretty good at stuff, but I would bet that. I mean, they've got to be designing it around Taxxon hands, right? Like by the time we're at the modern day.
It's an interesting thought because Yerks don't have a default. They're not designing anything for Yerks.
Right, right.
Everything they design is for the form factor of a host. So they kind of have to decide, like, well, what's the most? I guess most of our hosts have 2 legs, so we'll make the chairs for 2-legged hosts.
Yeah, yeah. No, all of their stuff is like we stole this technology and then we normalized it into our like regular. Like we've got this, and this. Okay, well now we can put this in there, and then we'll standardize everything so that it all kind of works the same. So it's like uniquely Yerk, but it is all cobbled together from everything else.
Uniquely Yerk. I like that.
That should have
Two
been our
fingers,
podcast.
by the way. I just want to point out the taxons have 2 fingers on each hand. That's
Yeah,
what
but
it says.
they got like a million legs, and remember they hold their bottom or their top third off the ground, so they got a ton of legs to work with.
All
They're
right.
doing like all those gifs of the people
I
going like
need
all over the
I need
keypad.
diagrams. I need it's hard for me to picture these taxons operating machinery. I don't really get that. Um okay, I don't know. What else anything else you had? What's your other random stuff besides Arbron?
Well, a couple of things here. I mean, I wanted to spend more time on Gedds
Okay,
actually
well,
to
yeah,
start
you like
off
those
because
Geds.
I think We didn't spend any time on how the Gedds talk here
Oh, do
yet.
they talk in here?
They do. You missed it. How they always go.
Oh, yeah, no, I did have
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So they have the conversation where we're talking about, where they sort of imply that the Taxxons are higher ranked or whatever, and we find out Taxxons use tablets to talk. Is the Gedds go, "Rrr, what are you doing here?" And Elfangor responds, "Cerise, we're Sria." And the guy goes, "Use your pad. You taxon wearers think you own the planet. Arrogant as Hork-Bajir."
Nixon?
That's right. That's right. Nixon was a Ged.
Now hold on, because also right now, presumably, right, they're speaking Gallard.
Right.
That we're getting the English translation of it.
Yes.
So whatever the R sounds are in Gallard is what they're exaggerating, not actually the ones that we're seeing exaggerated.
Right. They're just throwing growling R sounds into the middle of all their Gallard.
So, but it only happens with their R sound, like our R sounds. Oh, I guess it does otherwise too.
Sometimes they just throw them in, yeah.
It's more pronounced when the word has an R in it already.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's just, yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things that maybe Elfangor or the computer is just translating that for our benefit to make it make sense.
It's like snake talk, but with R's instead of S's.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you about this. What do you think a Ged's favorite movie is?
I mean, I know what it is. I was gonna say I think I know what the rating is.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say I think their favorite movie might be RRR.
Yeah. They love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like that. That's pretty good for a Ged.
Yeah, sure is.
Or you know what else they might like?
Ooh, what else might they like?
Well, just to take things in a different direction. Armageddon?
Ooh, Armageddon.
Yeah.
That's a really good one, yeah.
That's pretty good, yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that was good.
Gedds are good.
Yeah.
We get more Gedds in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, or maybe you said, or no?
We do get more Gedds. We'll get more Gedds in a couple of occasions.
Okay.
And cool. I'll be happy every time I see them. Now it's funny, the Taxxons here can't speak Gallard, right? Like when Elfangor can't speak Gallard, the Gedds just like, oh my god, just use the pad, right? Now, last time, Sub-Visser 7, who we know is going to be Visser 3, told Elfangor that if he was one of them, he'd be able to speak Gallard, which I guess is just bullshit, like he was just fucking with Elfangor.
I don't know. I also don't like all the language things confuse me. Can Yeerks do thought speech by themselves?
No.
They can't.
I forget how they communicate in the pool. I think they do have to come in physical contact in the pool.
Maybe it's because so often we just hear from Visser 3, who's in an Andalite body.
Yeah.
But I just don't, it feels like, I don't know, it just seems, because there's a part, I forget where I don't know, a Yeerk can't hear somebody or something in thought speech, and it just seems like they should be able to do it. I don't know, but I guess they can't.
Yeah, no, they're like blind to the world, and when they're in their slug form.
So how do they? Right, I guess that makes sense because like Visser 3. Well, yeah, we'll shout out communications, but the Hork-Bajir have to answer with their faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're. It sucks.
There's just a lot of different communication methods happening all around everyone simultaneously in a lot of these books.
Yeah, Animorphs does expect you to keep track of a lot of different aliens that are
There's
all
like
really weird.
not only different languages, but also like different actual forms of communication. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot to and they I feel like just kind of gloss over it a lot and just go, we'll just make it English for you. So which makes it almost more confusing. But
Yeah. Speaking of different communication methods, there's a part in this, and I don't know if we've raised this point before. We probably have, but there's a bit where Elfangor, like he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I'll see Arbron or Alloran," and you know, they would be in morph undercover, obviously. So like you'd think that since thought speech is psychic or whatever it is, he could like send it out and just be like, it's private. It's only for Arbron and Alloran. And then if they're around, they'll hear it. But like I guess he has to be like, I'm sending it at that Hork-Bajir. And if that one's not, Arbron or something, then I'm fucked. I'll have given myself away.
yeah, it does seem like you have to know where the person is. You can't
Yeah.
just
But then the Animorphs can do it from like Tobias is flying cover overhead and Rachel's in a basement.
yeah, and I guess like didn't Axe send out thoughts, or that was like through their dreams or some shit. I don't know what
Yeah,
that
he did
was.
some other weird shit. And Visser 3 got that one too.
Yeah, I guess that is a little bit. Well, Elfangor is young. Maybe he just hasn't mastered thought speech yet.
Yeah, that could be.
Or maybe he's like, I don't want to risk it. I don't know. I might. But yeah, that is.
I mean,
it's a question.
I don't know. I think we have brought this up before. I don't remember. It's all a blur now.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I mean, podcasts are designed for hearing the same discussions over and over again. It's comforting.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad people aren't bored by us.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the bullshit that I said here is we already went over, or whatever you talked about, or something. So
we gotta cover. We're on a different planet. There's aliens. We gotta cover it.
Yeah. Arbron's a Taxxon now.
Right. Yeah. This is pretty sad.
Yeah. It's pretty fucked up.
Our boy Arbron is now trapped as a Taxxon. Definitely did not get as lucky as Tobias.
No. It's one of the worst morphs to be trapped as.
You could have been even like a Kafit.
Yeah.
This is
a Jabala.
And he also stresses the point that he feasted on the other Taxxons. That was a big traumatic moment. Do we ever really find out like specific, like presumably he just couldn't get alone and would have been exposed, but does he explicitly say how and why he couldn't morph back, or are we just supposed to assume?
Yeah, we don't know. We never find out what happened in the interim there, but yeah, presumably he just couldn't get away and find a safe place to morph.
Yeah.
That's what we need a little. This is what our fanfics will be for us. We'll write Arbron's adventures. When
I will say there are some parts in this book where I was thinking, I kind of wish there was a part from the point of view of Alloran or Arbron. It does feel like we're missing some crucial pieces here.
Yeah, I mean, like Arbron could have like a little story where like in like Lord of the Rings, where Frodo and Sam get pulled into the orc battalion and have to march in the line for a while. Maybe that happened to him, and he had to like march along with all the Taxxons and find a way out.
Honestly, you know what? I think I would have liked it if maybe each part was from one of their perspectives. 3 different Andalites telling you their story, or if they just did a Megamorphs thing and just swapped. But
yeah, I might be done with the swapping, but for a bit, at least outside of Megamorphs.
I'm a swap proponent.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that at a certain point you would have to go to Lauren's perspective. It couldn't all be Andalites.
But then it's the Andalite fucking Chronicles, not the fucking human Chronicles.
Well, I don't know. I just think we'll see.
What the fuck are you implying?
Well, I'm just saying that I don't want to spoil too much, but in the next part, like we're gonna see more humans. Like Lauren will have a bigger part to play in the final part.
Oh, interesting. Oh, when she when they fuck.
Right, exactly.
All
It's
right. Well,
basically one extended 100-page sex scene, which we will talk about in graphic detail.
all right. Well, I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, this was a bummer part. Sucks for Arbron. That's pretty. It's not. I mean, it is really. It's rough.
Yeah, they
It's a
spent a
rough
lot of
thing.
time just like propping up how this is like the most horrific thing,
Yeah.
and then like immediately just like, nope, he's fucking stuck.
Yeah. And it is also again, if this was your first Animorphs book,
Yeah,
and you didn't know about Tobias, you would. It's even more. It's a whole other thing you now have to comprehend. The fact that you can get stuck.
yeah, like you probably would not be ready for that to just happen here if you didn't know about Tobias.
It's very. I mean, Tobias was already sad enough. It's
Yeah,
the same thing, but just even darker. So
yeah,
yeah,
pretty much you got to up the stakes here.
yeah,
But
yeah. What's next? Trapped as a trapped as a ant.
mm, mm. I was There may be more random trappings. I was curious if you were going to hit one of them, but you didn't.
Hmm. Trapped as a skunk.
Oh, no promises.
God, I hope Cassie just becomes a skunk Nothlet.
Well, there may be 5 or 6 Cassie books in a row that are just about her skunk adventures, but
Okay,
we'll get
well, look,
yeah.
we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get back to part 2 here.
Part yeah. Part 2. Listen, we said this was going to be shorter, so we got
It
to pad it
is,
out more.
yeah,
Uh
yeah,
so,
to make it
all right.
longer.
All right. So they're trying to take off. I'm just going to do a quick little thing here because it's an important reveal name drop. It's not that important to the plot yet, but as they are taking off, Arbron and Elfangor debate using the time matrix to escape. Uh, and there is a reveal that the time matrix was made by Elamists, of course. Who else would have done this? And so, Arbron's like, I want to go back in time and not be trapped as a Taxxon. And Elfangor's like, we don't know how it works. And also, what if the Elamists get mad or something, right? Um, yeah, Arbron kind
Yeah.
of makes fun of him and it's like, oh, you believe in those? And it's like, well, somebody made this thing.
Yeah, yeah. The Andalites are strangely. There's a part later on where are you done with your summary? Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just like, there's an actual summary to be done here, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned this. If you want to talk about this part specifically, let's do it. Or just throw in a mention.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was. Well, I guess I'll just finish my thought there.
Yeah,
That
please.
there's a part later where he's like, I don't believe in psychic stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the Andalites have a strange. I guess if you didn't know anything about humans, you might say something similar. But it's like you don't believe in psychics. You think the Elamists aren't real, but you do literally speak telepathically, and you can also morph into any animal. Like,
Yeah, send out dream messages.
yeah, like where are you drawing these lines of what makes sense and what doesn't? But
Yeah, I mean they might just define psychic differently. I don't.
I mean, that's the
They
same thing
must.
as if you said like, oh, humans don't believe in ghosts, but like you can fly in the sky or something. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
Yeah.
from a species where this stuff isn't normal, then yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
maybe. I don't know. But
I don't know.
so what actually ends up happening, they do get off the ground, but multiple bug fighters are coming up on like an intercept. They're coming to shoot them down, and they can't trade shots with them because their weapons suck, and they can't outrun them in space. But bug fighters are designed for space, and Skritna ships can handle atmosphere better because they're weird scavengers. So Elfangor is like, I'm gonna stay in the atmosphere and outrun them. And we get this really cool chase scene with them going like thousands of miles an hour, like right next to the ground. They're flaming from the air resistance. Like a bug fighter explodes from the heat. And it's really cool. And I like it a lot. But they aren't sure that all the bug fighters are going to blow up before they do. So Arbron's like, I can shoot them all down, right? We can take a shot at them. And Elfangor's like, that's impossible, even for a computer. And Arbron's like, I used to bullseye womp rats in my T16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters. So, so Elfangor quickly cuts the speed, right? The bug fighters shoot past. Arbron goes, boom, boom, boom. Uses the force and shoots them all down. And, this kind of melancholy because Elfangor's like, Arbron would have been a hero for this. If he was still an Andalite, right, he would have come home a hero and everyone would have been singing his praises. But no, he's a Taxxon and it sucks. Um,
Yeah.
it's a cool scene.
Yeah, it's a fun scene. I like that during all this shit that happens in this scene and the next, there's presumably just some scrit just like chilling on this ship somewhere.
Yeah, they
Right?
like talk about the script just like running around, bonking into them, cleaning stuff up, and not
Like
being aware of it.
these
Yeah,
scrit are just like they're just oblivious. They don't give a shit about anything.
yeah.
They're not a threat. They don't talk. They're just doing their own thing. Nobody cares that they're there. They're just like giant fucking cockroaches walking around.
That's them. That's the script.
They're, I respect the Skrit. The Skrit they might be the only maybe the only truly empathetic race in these books. they're, they're not causing anyone any trouble.
What,
It's
you
the
don't like the
Nah.
Hork-Bajir? You don't empathize with the Hork-Bajir?
Well, okay, I empathize with the Gedds. Let's say that.
Okay. That's fair.
Hork-Bajir, I don't like what they said about our trees, but so
Hmm.
that guy,
Yeah,
so
it was a bit rude.
yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I imagine a Hork-Bajir would as well, with because of how sharp they are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it now.
At one point, Elfangor says, "We're going to the grass."
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean like pedal to the metal?
That's interesting. I mean, I just assumed because they were like flying through the air, but he drops them to like 50 feet above ground level for the chase. I assumed he
Hmm.
meant
So it's literal.
but I don't know. Maybe that's an Andalite expression.
I thought maybe because they have their dome ships, maybe there's like
Right.
grass on the bridge and like pushing the
Mm.
drill, but they don't literally have pedals, I don't think.
Yeah, or,
But
but they but they like run on the grass. So it could be
yeah,
like put some
right.
tail in them when you're shooting your lasers, right?
Yeah, that's what I want it to mean
Yeah.
that.
It means that now. We're
Okay.
going to the grass.
Yeah, going to the
Hit the grass,
grass.
baby.
Take him to the chorus. So anyway, yeah, it's a fun action
Yeah.
scene.
And I like that there's some like actual sci-fi stuff in here. Like
Right.
this is a real kind of technical concern you would see in a more grounded sci-fi series, in a less like, oh, there's elements and stuff. It's like, oh, these ships handle vacuum well. But their hulls aren't designed for atmosphere, so how do we figure our way out? Well, we do the chase in atmosphere because our hull is different, blah blah blah. Um, like it's cool, and they've got like, oh, Elfangor. I like that he has to open up a window to do it in like real time as opposed to just
Mm.
communicating with a computer. It feels like there's this element of like when you're in space, you go much faster, but your reaction time can be slower because you see everything. You don't have to react. It's like the difference between like highway driving and then like regular street driving. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was a fun little thing.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is cool. It is some good space battle business.
Yeah.
And it really it's a bit of levity before things just get real dark.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's honestly up until this point, it's one of the more cinematic scenes in the books, right? Like I
Mm.
could easily imagine this chase scene playing out,
Yeah.
like in a movie, like big action sequence. Like I don't know if it's because I just watched Fast X and so I got it's like the
Don't Now
cars
you're
is
gonna
going
date
zoom
us.
zoom, but I just watched a Fast and Furious movie, the most recent one.
Right.
You know, if you're
Whichever one
watching
that
this in the
is.
future, it's, number 19.
It's Hobbs and Shaw 4.
Right.
um, but yeah. I think this whole book, generally speaking, has more of that
Yeah.
cinematic flair to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of the big scenes in this are significantly more cinematic than I think what we're used to in
And
these.
ironically, also would be much more difficult and expensive to film than
Yeah.
the other books.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Which I
this
guess is
book right
why.
here, this is a James Cameron book.
Yeah.
This is a book for somebody who's ridiculously ambitious in their
Yeah, or Peter
filmmaking.
Jackson, or
Yeah.
it's wild. Or, it's an animated movie. But
Yeah, or you could do that. But fuck no, 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 no. I mean, is it not is Avatar not animated? Like at where do we
no,
draw the line
no,
between CG
it's a
and
live action film, just like The Lion King live action, and
Oh right, yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, please don't try to tell me that the Na'vi aren't real. I know those blue women exist.
No, yeah, Pandora is real, don't worry.
Okay, good. Thank
Now,
you.
can we please start talking about suicide?
Right. Yeah, I think we can actually. We can start. We're past the first whatever it is on YouTube where they like you get fucked by the algorithm or something if you say it in the first however many minutes.
Yeah,
Right. So we're good. Um,
good.
okay. So Elfangor wants to go back to the spaceport to rescue Alloran and Lauren, and Arbron is like, "Are you insane? They'll eat me if I go back. You know how it is for Taxxons." So, he's still on like, "I gotta use the time matrix to go back and not." And Elfangor's like, "You can't do it." And Arbron has a meltdown about it and attacks Elfangor. Elfangor can't kill his friend, but he does in this like little skirmish. He cuts off some of his legs, which like
Yeah,
Arbron can't remorph those.
right.
So Arbron's lying there being like, "Kill me!" screaming at Elfangor, and Elfangor is gonna stun him to shut him up so he can focus. And Arbron's like, "You dumbass! You're gonna kill me with that thing." The Yerks use the opposite phaser setting, so one is like the highest. And then he attacks Elfangor, trying to get Elfangor to kill him. Elfangor quickly turns the dial on the gun and he shoots at him, but it turns out that Arbron was lying and tricked him, and Elfangor fires the Dracon beam at maximum blast and punches a huge hole through the ship and knocks himself out, and the ship crash lands. So, just a quick little section here. I don't even think this is a full chapter, but we'll just take a little break here to discuss our, lighthearted children's novel in which a character tries to commit suicide by tricking his friend into murdering him.
Begs him to take his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up, and it really takes a turn quickly. This is a
Yeah.
hard veer into sadness.
Yeah.
Although at the same time it is kind of funny. Just like,
Right.
no, dude. Setting 1 is the not
Yeah.
that's the one that'll kill me. You want setting 10 because it's in England you drive on the left side of the road.
Right.
Actually,
Well, Arbron is the exodatologist or whatever,
right.
So Elfangor's like, "Oh, he must be right."
But then I don't know what's funnier, the idea that it would be the opposite, or the idea that, well, one thing is a constant in the universe. You have a setting from 1 to 10 on your guns. That's
Well,
just
so there's that one actually does make sense because
okay.
and this isn't really a spoiler, you already know about this. Zero's kindness is the Andalites gave Yerks their tech. Dracon beams are modified
Hmm.
shredders. Like
Oh,
they
okay.
got shredders from the Andalites and modified them to Dracon beams.
Okay, that makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah. And that's explicit. That like we
Right.
know that explicitly.
Right. Okay. Okay. But yeah, it's a sad scene. Like you said, his legs get cut off, although, we later find out that's not as big a deal as we think it is.
Yeah.
Which I felt that felt a little bit to me like the Tobias broken wing thing in the last book of like
Yeah.
they like I don't know, it feels a little cheap to give you that danger and then just pretty soon after nullify it,
Mm.
but that's a minor
It
complaint
also
and
gives you kind of an identifying feature, right? Like if you imagine a
right.
bunch of Taxxons and Arbron, you can imagine Arbron standing out because he's got short little legs, little stubby
Yeah,
legs,
I
growing
I don't
back.
know that I can imagine. That feels like it's still pretty hard to tell them apart, to be honest. I would have like maybe a scar or something on his back would have been a good signifier. I don't know,
Mm.
but uh yeah. But anyway, like I don't, he doesn't also need to have be disfigured in addition to being stuck in a Taxxon, so it's not like they truly negate the horror of it.
I mean, you could have been disfigured.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have been. He could have been.
Yeah, I
Uh
don't think it would change much. But
well, I'm not I don't like to be ableist, so I do think he could be a fully functioning and healthy,
right
happy Taxxon. Just make him a little Taxxon wheelchair.
now,
Should
that's
we should we
interesting. He
cut
would
this
have
part
like
out? No, you go ahead.
a little like stretcher, right? A little Taxxon floaty because he can't. He's too long. I want to
Yeah.
see a Taxxon floaty mobility device, or like maybe it has future wheels.
Sounds like something for our listeners to submit their own drawings of.
Yes, yes, and we will review those drawings.
Get your kids to draw it. All right.
Yeah,
Any
please
other
do them in crayon like I would have in elementary school.
That's right, in crayon. Any other Arbron suicide thoughts?
No, I just wanted to make sure we stopped at that portion and really drew focus on it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
So they crash landed. Elfangor, he comes to in the wreckage. Arbron is gone. All that shit that the Skritna stole from Earth is like spilled out of the crates everywhere. Um Elfangor sees Taxxon tracks in the dirt. He sees that 4 Taxxons came while he was unconscious and took Arbron and the Skrit away. Um but interestingly, they like took him. They didn't eat him because he can see Arbron's tracks going away too. And they've got fewer legs. Ooh, there's another reason to have his legs cut off. And they also didn't eat Elfangor, interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
But he figures, well, there's nothing I can do about that. So he's got to head back to the spaceport and find Alloran. Like, to be fair, there's nothing he can do about that. So he looks through all the human stuff, and we get what is probably the most iconic scene in all of Animorphs.
Wow, holy shit,
I mean,
that's a big setup.
I mean, the, I think you'll agree that the payoff is here.
More iconic than Nice is Neat.
It's up there.
More iconic than the opening scene of the books.
It's impossible to forget this scene. It's everyone's
Except
favorite.
that I apparently did since I was a child, but
apparently you did. I don't know how you did. Yeah, maybe Nice is Neat is more iconic. I don't know. Maybe that's what defines the series. So Elfangor finds in the Skritna ship a yellow Mustang, like the car, not a horse, and he carves out the seats so he can drive it. And he finds some Dr. Pepper, which he assumes is human speak for bubbling brown water, and he puts it in a pan so he can drink it while he drives. And he races down the desert in his yellow Mustang, drinking Dr. Pepper and listening to the Rolling Stones, which he thinks is bad. And while he's doing this, he's imagining the beauty of Earth as he sees it depicted in a cigarette ad that he found in a magazine there.
All right. So there's a lot to cover. I feel like you honestly there's a kind of a scene maybe to discuss before the Mustang. I feel like the stuff leading up to that is a little bit, I don't know. Like we find the time matrix.
Oh yeah, we do find the time matrix.
I mean, that's kind of it. Like, we get to see it for the
We
first
do.
time.
I suppose that's true. I guess this whole time I knew what it looked like. And, like, in theory, they described an image. They were like, they saw an image on the Skritna computer and they sort of described it. But it is true. We haven't really seen it before. Yeah, the time matrix is in there.
You know, what's really important is that he gets to drive a car. But
He does!
also, he happens to find the most powerful weapon in the entire world. But, you know, it's
But
like,
he
whatever.
drives. He's a centaur, blue centaur guy driving a Mustang,
Listen,
drinking
and
Dr.
we're gonna
Pepper.
talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. I just
Okay.
feel like
Okay.
I
Okay.
just want to cover this. I just feel like we should talk about this part first.
That's reasonable.
And also the fact that the Skritna emergency lighting is green, and we don't
Yes.
know why. They just like that.
Yeah, they just like it to be green. Like in the sci-fis.
As opposed to what? Like red is that what the Andalites use? Like why what's the universal color for that?
That's interesting. I feel because Andalites have green blood?
Right.
Because like you'd think that like, humans might use red. I don't know, maybe because blood is red, so it signifies danger when we see bright red.
Interesting.
So maybe Andalites should be using green.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why we do it.
It's a good theory. Well, okay, so the time matrix is a smooth off-white sphere 10 feet in diameter. That's what it is. It looks like a big white ball.
Yes.
And this part, Elfangor starts ruminating on the amount of power it would take, the power of 10 suns, he says, in order to travel through time.
Yeah.
How the fuck does he know that? How does he know?
A lot of his numbers don't add up either. Like he says, taking a ship through zero space takes as much as a medium-sized star, but traveling through time would take 10 times that. And it's like, well, you have more than 10 ships. Also, any ship takes a full medium-sized star, but you can't. But the power source that powers Eric's hologram is too small to exist. Like, I don't know that this was thought through.
Yeah, it also makes me question, like, I guess, do the Andalites have the theories about time travel and how it theoretically would be powered, but they just can't do it? Because, like, how is it just common knowledge? He's not the exodatologist, right? How does he just know off the top of his head, oh yeah, they would take roughly this much power to time travel? Like, what are you even talking about? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There are all these like crazy things that we can do with time travel where people will say like, oh, well, if you just took something, the mass of Jupiter and you rolled it into a cylinder that was like 10 meters across and, like a light year long, and then you spun it at however many revolutions a minute, and then you went around it, you could go back in time. And it's like, yeah, but you couldn't do that. So, like, maybe that's what he's thinking. He's like,
the only people who would know that are physicists or, like, giant nerds who are reading about this stuff. They're not, like, teaching that to kids in school. Like, it's not just something people know about.
Andalites learn a lot of stuff in school.
Okay.
And Elfangor paid attention. He was a weird, he's not like rebellious little axe who's flirting with the Andalite girls.
They're teaching these kids in school about time travel, which, as far as we know, the only way to do it is a thing invented by a mythical race. This doesn't make sense.
Well, they just got to learn about space-time, and the rest is trivial, that if you just were good enough. I don't know.
All right, I win. Now, anyway, now feel free to talk about your little car scene, whatever makes you happy.
No.
No, it's car time. Tell me why this is the most iconic scene in Animorphs.
Is there any, like, this is the craziest scene, right? Like, this is great. It's because it's so, it's so, like, half of it is so normal. Like, that's what makes it work. A lot of the other crazy scenes are just so bonkers out there. But with this one, you're like, yeah, it's a yellow Mustang. And Elfangor is in it. It's great. Everyone loves this scene. Everyone cites this scene. Go read people talking about this scene once you've got all the spoilers for Animorphs out of the way. Like, you'll see people bring this up.
Well, here's what I'll say. When you were saying earlier about the book being very cinematic,
Hmm.
this was the part where I was in my head was like, this is a scene in a movie. This,
Yes.
like, they have the soundtrack built in. You're playing Rolling Stones, like it's driving down in the car. This was custom built to be filmed, I feel.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that. Maybe that's part of the what makes it so memorable is it's very easy to visualize this. Although
Hmm.
with the one exception that I don't know that I still can quite visualize how an Andalite fits in a regular car. I don't really know how he
Well, he
does
cut out all
that.
the seats, so he's
He's
just
just
standing in there.
he's just ripped the seats out. He's just got
Yeah.
his hoof.
Yeah. He's just got his hoof on the gas and you know,
Yeah, I
sticks
mean,
the hoof in the bubbling brown water every once in a while.
it is great to imagine him, yeah, just with one hand on the wheel, the other seven
Yeah.
fingers wrapped around a Dr. Pepper, and just drinking it down. And I'm glad it's Dr. Pepper. I'm glad it's not Mountain Dew or some shit. And it's not as generic as just Coke or Pepsi. I like that it's a pretty specific
Mm.
kind of soda.
Yeah,
it's a
it's good.
it's a good choice.
I agree. Um,
Yeah.
I like the build up to it when he's describing all of the human stuff that he finds. I always like when they do alien explanations of normal stuff, right? Where he's like, "Oh, I have a list of here where he
Uh-huh.
says, frozen preserved animals, bundles of artificial skin, glass objects that seemed to contain liquids, odd antiquated electronic equipment, small objects that look like hundreds of rectangular sheets of paper glued together on one side, and a long crate of what I could almost swear were primitive weapons." That's what the Skritna Hall looked like. That's what they took from Earth. And the Time Matrix, of course, and the car.
Yeah, because you can really do some puzzling here and try to figure out what all that stuff is.
I don't know that it's puzzling, but.
No, they're like little puzzles.
Hmm.
Oh, you're so smart. You just know how an alien thinks. You immediately knew what they were.
That's right. Well, I've been doing it since I was a kid, so for me it's easy.
Can I just apologize, by the way? Because I was, I was speaking metaphorically, but just to be clear, for the listeners, know, I understand Andalites don't have a mouth, so he's not actually holding the bottle. He is drinking the Dr. Pepper with his hoof.
Yes, and that is honestly a funnier scene, but I wasn't going to call you out on it because it's funny either way.
I mean, so also we're presuming that he's not tasting the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah, he
does
doesn't
it?
call it sweet bubbling brown water. He calls it bubbling brown water.
Yeah, like, is it still bad for you? Like, is his hoof only absorbing the nutrients or something? Like, does it take in the sugar? I don't know how the hoof drinking process works exactly.
Yeah, what nutrients do they take in from the crushed grass, I wonder? Or
Right.
is he affected by caffeine?
Yeah, also a good question. No idea. We don't know how the physiology operates here.
Yeah. We need to talk to an Andalite xenobiologist.
For sure. So it's all, yeah. So that honestly, that makes it a little, it is better. It would be better if he was just holding the bottle and maybe if he like held a hoof up and just like poured it onto the hoof.
Mmm. That's a little weird.
Bubble. At one point, he says, "Bubbling brown water running up my hoof."
That's like running down my throat, but for an Andalite.
Both unpleasant in different ways. All right, but so yeah, and also there are no airbags on this thing. He crashes and it doesn't like. Doesn't he crash it basically? Nothing. He's not wearing a seatbelt either. I don't know how he's.
Yeah, I mean, it does. That is effectively what happens. Uh, he's driving along, and the ground like opens up under him. Right there's like a they have a sound effect. It goes thwomp, boom, boom, rumble, rumble, rumble,
Hmm.
So he finds himself in a like giant cavern underneath the ground, and there's this massive red mountain looking thing with tendrils coming out everywhere, and it's glowing red. And there's Taxxons swarming all around it, and in it, and they're all like digging tunnels and doing work. They're like patching up the hole already where Elfangor fell through. Um, so the red mountain speaks, uh, and it's like, "Is this the creature?" And Elfangor's like, "Oh my god, it sounds like a planet speaking in his head. I guess it's thought speak in some sense." And Arbron shows up, uh, and he's alive, and his legs are growing back, as you said, because we didn't know if Arbron was eaten or what at this point. But
Mm.
he identifies this massive thing as the living hive, mother and father of the Taxxons. And it's like a massive living conscious tunnel system that like spans the planet, and all the Taxxons live in it. And it's angry at the Yerks and at the Taxxons who left. So Arbron has decided to stay and advise it because like it couldn't understand Yerks or space travel, but he can tell the Hive all about the Yerks and their plans and what they are. And so Arbron and the Living Hive are planning an attack on the Yerk spaceport. Um, and Elfangor's like, "Yeah, you're not going to win that." And Arbron's like, "Oh, well, fuck that. I know that, but we're going to do it anyway." Um, so Arbron is coordinating like a general here, and he is going to stay behind with the Taxxons to fight forever. He's decided he's not going to go home with Elfangor. He says to Elfangor, "Tell my parents I died in battle, not trapped as a Taxxon." He's a Taxxon freedom fighter now.
Yeah, which I
Yeah,
think is the best case scenario for this guy. I mean,
yeah,
this is you're not going to find a better purpose in life at this point.
yeah. No, I think it's quite good. I like Arbron. He's like the little tragic freedom fighter here.
Yeah, he really, by the way, I mean, he matures and commits himself to this new fate quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
He-
it's just like you either lay down and die horribly or you do this, right? It's
and
like
he
he just
went from one to the
completely,
other.
yeah, like it's just completely given up. I might as well die. And now he's actually got something to live for, and he's like, I'm going to throw myself entirely in it.
I mean, this is really the part where, yeah, I wish we had an Arbron point of view because
Hmm.
it's just it's hard to imagine he's not struggling with this internally somewhat. But from our perspective, it really feels like, woo, I'm a Taxxon now. This is my shit now. Like he just takes to it fast. But like you said,
Yeah.
it's one of those do or die moments, and something in the heat of the moment. Sometimes you just got to make the tough choices and commit.
Yeah. Now, I was wondering, I didn't think of it in this way, but is this just since the Taxxons, the living hive and the Taxxons, they want to fight for Taxxon freedom or whatever, but they can't because they don't know how until Arbron becomes a Taxxon and comes in and teaches them how to fight against the Andalite and the Yerk space battle. Is this just Avatar? Like, is this just literally Avatar, but with monster worms instead of sexy blue women? Right? Like the humans are the sexy blue ones instead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the yeah.
Is this
That's
problematic? Is it like a white savior narrative thing?
yeah.
An Andalite savior narrative?
Yeah, if they made a movie and Arbron was played by a white guy and the Taxxons were all people of color, then this would definitely be problematic.
Okay, so just make sure that you cast a person of color to play Arbron, and
And it's
and
fine.
yeah, and then you CG all over him anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It is, I mean, not that of course Avatar is it's a trope. It's a
Mm.
but yes, this is essentially Pandora, and the Yerks are the FDA or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I mean the living hive is basically AWA here, right?
Yes, yes, the living hive is AWA. I mean, it's interesting. You went to Avatar. I don't know. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking. To me, the Living Hive feels very Tolkien.
Hmm.
Maybe that's not. I don't know if there's like I can come up with a specific analog, but it just feels like I don't know, booming voice that like lives in the mountains and
Hmm.
is in tune with the people there. It feels like a thing. It feels like Living High feels like an ent mixed with like I don't know, a dwarven mine or something. like,
Yeah, some kind of Maiar or other, right? Like
yeah,
like
there you
inner
go.
mountain Maiar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're there to fill in the lingo for me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's
Maiar
some
would be
wild
like
shit.
Gandalf or Sauron or a Balrog.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. For the listeners, of course.
Right. Yeah, you know
Uh,
this.
yeah, I know it. I know it. Yeah, the Living Hive is crazy. It gets even crazier after that. I mean, we could probably spend a whole podcast talking about the logistics of the Living Hive. I
Yeah, I
almost
mean, I do want to slow down on the Living Hive because this is where I want to have my little taxon discussion.
okay. Well, then
I
let's have your taxon discussion
I
now.
this is all right. So the main point of how I view taxons here is that
Yes.
like it's very clear to me that taxons are like evolutionarily and psychologically they are supposed to be part of this massive living hive thing, right? Just like a human is meant to function within like a society of humans. And judging all taxons by the behavior of the ones outside that system, it's like judging humans by the actions of people kept in solitary confinement for years. Like, of course they're super fucked up. Like, that's not to say the taxons here won't kill you and eat you, but they clearly have some level of control over it. No, they do. And it's like it's like this seems to be some kind of actually functional society and it should be given some kind of consideration beyond just like horror murder monsters, right? They deserve dignity. They are a sentient species with it like a real society. Like human beings kill each other in our societies too. We're not perfect, right?
Wow.
And you know, it's not thinking about it from that perspective. I will say it is not clear to what extent the taxons that left are were like individualists who fucked themselves up, and so they had to turn to the Yerks, and to what extent they were just like actively greedy bastards who just wanted good food, right? They just joined the Yerks because they wanted the meat. Like it seems clear from this section that the Hive like personally blames them and is like, those are the traitor taxons, but like the Hive itself is clearly like extremely angry and confused. I just think that this is like the most like character and dignity given to taxons as a species in the whole series, and they deserve more consideration going forward the way that she slowly gave more and more consideration to the Hork-Bajir and eventually even the Yerks. Taxons never really get it, and they deserve it, and that's what I think.
I, in the background of the fucking, uh, you know,
It's my little soapbox.
life is like a mop. Playing that music in the background. Anyway, as a UHF reference. Okay, let me respond.
Yes.
How do we know that the Taxons aren't just like this all the time? What is this hypothesis that they're only fucked up because of the Yerks or
I don't think they're fucked up because of the Yerks. I think that every taxon we see that isn't taken over by the Yerks, the mountain taxons here, they're all part of this living hive. And like, what the hell is this living hive if it's not like the taxon thing?
right? But we know. Well, that's a great question. I don't know that I can answer, but um, I mean, it's these Taxons who are presumably the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
These Taxons still have a voracious hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And according to this book directly, had Arbron not fed them a scrit, they would have just eaten all of them. Right? They would have eaten Elfangor.
Any Yerk taxon would have eaten all of them, scrit and all. There was no talking or arguing or anything. Listen, taxons aren't the same as us. But that doesn't mean they don't deserve
You're
some of like they deserve to be
I
characterized as more than just monster worms.
I feel like you're deflecting. I feel like I think the answer to my question is yes. They would have eaten Elfangor. They
I
needed to
mean,
be bribed with other living flesh.
but the fact is they could be bribed. They are people. They're not just like cannibalistic machines the way that we see them portrayed outside of this.
Sure, as yeah, as Elfangor's in his own words, Elfangor says these Taxxon were no less cannibalistic, no less murderous.
But they function in a kind of society.
Now listen, I
There's
would
like an order to it. These taxons are clearly much more at peace with their it's like it's like saying, crocodiles are evil cuz they'll eat each other when they if they, are injured or something. That's just how they are.
I would like to believe that there's an ideal perfect society where the Yerks leave and the living hive maybe the living hive regulates the Taxxons, and if left to their own devices, like the living hive is what provides them with empathy and like that's been disrupted or something. Maybe that's the case. I'm still not fully sold on this. I like that there are rebel Taxxons. I'm glad there are some like good guy Taxxons. They That's fine. I'd like them to have their planet back, but it's also still seems like a large percentage of them willingly joined the Yerks and were cool with just all the murder. I don't know. I'm not.
I
It's
mean,
hard for me to get behind this 100%.
I'm just saying like there's a difference between like if you have like a violent warlike race like the Klingons, right? And
Hey, come on.
they're always the bad guys because they're violent and warlike, but they are people. And the way that taxons are always portrayed in these books, which is basically just mindless, pure evil eating machines. Like they are more than that.
Yeah. Would it be neater for you if this scene just didn't exist? There just weren't rebel Taxons?
No, I think I like the fact that this is here. I welcome the depth.
But this is the thing that I feel like this is. If this didn't exist, then you would be fine saying, yeah, Taxons are monsters.
Yeah, but I would it would I what I want is not less of this, but more, right?
Right.
Like I
Sure.
would
Right.
it would be less interesting to me. I'd be like, yeah, sure, taxons are monsters, I guess, whatever, and then I would move on and not think about it. I like that this is here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish that there was more of it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to establish that like this is the crux of it. This is the whole thing
Yeah, I mean
that muddles the waters.
there's
Muddies.
more like we see more later down that like there is some use for the Taxon's appetite. Like we will find out in later books that the Taxon's appetite likely exists in part to get them to constantly consume dirt so they can dig tunnels for this hive. But yeah, this is the crux of it. This is the crux of like Taxons can be people, they can function, like they can organize. I'm not saying that they have to be good or liked, just that the series doesn't treat them with the dignity and respect that a sentient species deserves, in my opinion.
Well, you've made your stance known, and I respect it.
Mm-hmm. Give
Um,
me a Taxxon Chronicles.
I,
It can star Arbron if it must.
if given the choice, I would probably still say, yeah, blow up Taxxon planet, no regrets. But that's me. That's
Yeah,
me.
well, you're just a Alloran type
I'm a
over
bit of an
there.
Alloran. What can I say?
Yeah,
I, I
that's all
really
you
am.
can say.
Well, yeah, we'll get deeper into that later. But in spite of my misgivings, I am also glad this scene exists. I think it's fascinating to explore.
Hmm.
I want more depth for the Taxons as well.
Yeah.
It just didn't sway me as heavily as you.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think the first couple times I saw this, especially when I was younger, this didn't really. I was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Taxons do this hive thing, But like, I don't know. I want more depth for all of these things. I think Animorphs is at its most interesting when like there's not really good guys or bad guys. Um,
Hmm.
except
I'm
for
pr-
maybe the
really
Hork-Bajir where they're just all good guys.
I'm pretty curious about the Pemelites or the
Oh
Chi.
right, yeah, of
Sorry, the
course.
Chi. Either both of them, they're good boys.
But even the
Um,
Chi have their own things. Like you can go in there and be like, okay, so you're not going to commit violence, so you're not going to help.
like we don't have
So
time to
we
relitigate
don't.
the Chi
We
right now.
don't. You're right. We don't.
I just want to know: does this living hive birth the Taxxons? Like, how are they connected? It's where did this
Yeah.
symbiotic relationship begin?
I
Like,
would
that's
love an answer to this. I always kind of imagined the living hive as like a separate hive mind consciousness built out of taxons, but I don't know that that actually makes sense or tracks or has any supporting evidence. I mean, we do see because we see like in the future societies where Yerks have taken over, the taxons all form like hives out of buildings, but they don't have living hives. They just like, they act like there's a hive there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Food for thought, though. Food for thought. Wouldn't
And
wouldn't
for
be enough to
taxons.
satiate a Taxxon, that food, but for thought, it's enough.
That's right.
They're fucking demons. All right.
All right. So, all right. So the Living Hive, they're going to do their big battle. They're going to the Living Hive sends thousands of taxons out to the spaceport, and they're all going to like erupt simultaneously out of the ground everywhere and attack everything all at once, which is, we're gearing up for another just unbelievable
In
scene,
just
right?
some places, or
Oh no, everywhere. Everything,
oh,
everywhere, all at once.
wow, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And Elfangor is going to go there with them in his Mustang still. And he's going to find Lauren and Alloran and get them out along with the Time Matrix on the Jahar. So it shoots Elfangor through the tunnels. He flies out in his car, like does a jump out into the middle of all this insane war zone that's basically just like a free-for-all Taxxon slaughter fest, right? There's all the Taxxons are killing all the other Taxxons. The ground is tearing apart. There's Hork-Bajir just wantonly murdering Taxxons because they can't actually get them. It's this crazy large scope thing. Um, and he gets to the Jahar, and there's this like, and he sees Lauren and Chapman there, and we get this like intense standoff. Bunch of stuff happens. There's this standoff where Arbron is there, and he's having trouble not eating Lauren and Chapman. Subvisor 7 shows up, and he's like, "Surrender, Elfangor, and let me have your body to infest." So they're all, he sends Hork-Bajir in. Elfangor can't fend him off. It's an action scene. But then one of the Hork-Bajir turns on Subvisor 7 and puts his blade at his throat, and he's like, "Guess what? It's me, Alloran. Call your men off or I'll slit your throat." So Subvisor 7 does, and they all get on board the Jahar and take off, taking Subvisor 7 prisoner and leaving Arbron behind on the planet.
Woo!
Yeah, big action scene. All the big action scenes, there's just a lot going on.
The craziest thing about this to me is how quickly it comes together. Like
Yeah.
we were just introduced to the living hive, and Arbron's like, now that I'm here, I can help them fight back against the Yerks. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like it'll be a years long period of information gathering and spying and building up forces. They're like, no, we're doing it now. We're fucking going to fight them now. It's like it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I
so
mean,
abrupt.
it's interesting because there are dozens of spaceports like this across the planet at least, so there have to be more attacks like this gearing up. I do think it kind of fits this like more Taxxon mindset of like, no, we're not going to do this subtle. Like all the Taxxons, they're going to burst out of the ground and they're all just going to wantonly eat everybody and whatever. If they all die, they die. That's how we as Taxxons fight. It's like crazy bloodlust.
And I guess it was helpful for Elfangor because it creates a distraction, but
Yeah.
I think they were gonna do it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Arbron is better at being able to be like, oh, here's the here's the structural supports in the ships, and here's why they're doing it, and here's how much this will disrupt, and here's your chances of victory. I don't know. Maybe he didn't help at all. Maybe the Living Hive was just like, I'm going to send everybody to the spaceport. And Arbron was like, yes.
Yeah, what did he provide in this scenario? What counsel did he give them in, in the 20 minutes he's been there?
Yeah.
guys, let me tell you how the guns work. They point them at you. Like, I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah.
Don't try not to be where the gun is pointing.
I mean, maybe he's like, when you break the pool ship, make sure the Taxxons eat all the slugs in there. If they weren't, because maybe they wouldn't know there's a bunch of slugs in there. They got to eat.
It's gross. It also is, this is one of those scenes where you're like, man, if only he just slit that stupid Visser's throat right there, That really just solve a lot of problems. Well, actually, no, not really. Wouldn't really solve many problems because.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some
I just mean in terms of like bigger picture, like the Yeerks would still probably find out about Earth and they just send somebody else, and it wouldn't actually. It's not like it would stop the war or something, It's just like
right, yeah, that's fair. There's some good exchanges in here. I like when Alloran's got his blade at Subvissor's throat, and Subvissor's like, oh, whatever became of the Andalite reputation for kindness and gentleness? And Alloran's like, we left that image in the ashes of the Hork-Bajir homeworld. And Subvisor 7's like, oh shit, you were there? And he's like, yeah, I'm Alloran. And Subvissor's like, oh fuck, oh goddamn, oh shit. It's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, Alloran did some shit. He's like the John Wick of Andalites. Maybe.
That's true. Yeah, they know him.
Yeah, they're freaked out about that.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
It's good. It's good to see Visser 3 afraid of something.
Mm-hmm. And we got a nice little send off when they do leave Arbron behind. Alloran says, "Warrior Arbron is a casualty of war." Right? He promotes him or whatever, effectively posthumously.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a good little Arbron the Taxxon rebel.
Yeah, we did learn that you shouldn't bring a Taxxon to a blade fight also.
Yes, that's true.
You never do that.
Even if the Taxxon's got a gun.
Taxxon's got a gun. Dun, 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 dun.
Good job.
All right. So,
yeah.
Now,
so, I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at, we've only got a couple scenes left.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this next one, I have a lot. I have a note at the top where I was just like, listen, we could, I like my notes for this next one start with, I'm about to exposit a lot here.
I think a third of my notes I wrote down are from this final scene.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna stop me at some point, let me know, because I was just gonna be like, listen, I don't know where to break this. I'm just gonna go through all of it, and then we can talk about what happened.
There's a lot of, there's a lot. This is we get a lot of Ocean's 11. Like,
yeah.
Actually, I was doing this and he was doing that and I was over here. So I just try to sum it all up and we'll get into it as we hit our 90+ minute mark.
Beautiful. Oh, really? I thought we were longer than that. That's good. We're doing good. We're gonna make it.
Yeah, we're hitting there.
We're gonna make it into 90 minutes or more.
Yeah.
All right. So Elfangor's on the ship with Alloran. What he's like, what do we do, sir? And Alloran's like, he goes into this like insane rage rant. He's like, oh, now you want to be told, I'll tell you what we're doing. We're going back and blowing up that ship of Yeerks you didn't kill earlier. That's been my number one priority this whole time. That's the only thing that matters. I've been watching that ship. He's getting a little crazy. And, but first Alloran orders him to open the hatch and drop Subvisor 7 from, they're like 1,500 feet in the air. And Elfangor does. He doesn't. He closes his eyes, but he drops Subvisor 7 out. Subvisor's out the hatch, falling 1,500 feet to his death. So I guess he's dead. Um, which you said might as well kill him. Well, I guess they did. Uh,
Mhm.
but they go back. Elfangor refuses to kill the Yeerks again, right? Alloran's like, kill him, and Elfangor's like, I can't do it. I can't kill 10,000 Yeerks. And Elfangor, or I'm sorry, Alloran and Elfangor, they get into like this conflict, right? Alloran's tail blade is on Elfangor's neck, and he starts ranting again about how the only important thing is killing your enemies. And he drops a very important reveal here, which is that they used a quantum virus on the Hork-Bajir homeworld, which is this
Mm.
horrible biological weapon, and that's why he's disgraced, right?
Mm.
So, big deal, right? Major war crime. Uh, Andalites have all, or Andalites, Elfingor's heard this rumor, but he assumed it was Yerk propaganda. But no, they used a quantum virus on the Hork-Bajir world. Um, but okay, this is where the exposition really starts.
Get ready, folks.
Get ready.
Strap in.
Yeah. So while they're distracted fighting each other, Chapman gets up and sucker punches Alloran. And Elfangor then knocks Alloran out. He takes his opportunity. And, Lauren comes up and comforts him. He's freaking out about what he just did. But he's like, all right, I'm going to take the ship back to the Skritna crash site and get the time matrix. He's at the crash site. He's about to get the time matrix. And then he realizes what's going on. Lauren and Chapman are controllers, right? This was all way too easy. He shouldn't have been able to get this far. Lauren and Chapman have been controllers this whole time. And because he left Alloran knocked out alone with them, Alloran is actually now a controller too, right? This is when Visser 3 infests Alloran, because it turns out that Sub-Visser 7, that was a decoy. The real Sub-Visser 7 told this Hork-Bajir to impersonate him and to let himself get killed without a fight. And the real one was in Chapman all along, waiting for a chance to get Alloran, and now he's done it. So Elfangor, he acts quick, he runs back, he manages to stun Chapman and Lauren, but he only gets Alloran, quote unquote's arm, so that means Sub-Visser 7 gets to have like a big I won you Andalite fool speech, even though he can't shoot his gun. Elfangor can't bring himself to kill him, so he stuns him. And then, there's bug fighters incoming, so he poses as the Sub-Visser and is like, haha, I've done it, you fools. I captured an Andalite. Shoot that other Andalite I left there on the ground. And so he takes the time matrix and he manages to get off to zero space before they realize and catch up. Whole lot of shenanigans and identity switching and thinking about who's who in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was genuinely confused. I had to go back and reread some of this stuff to try to understand who was what and where. It's not actually that complicated, I don't think, but it some of it was not very clear to me immediately.
Yeah, and
Mainly,
some of that is happening from Elfangor's perspective because he doesn't realize it, and then he realizes it all. Well, like he doesn't see a clue that tips him off. He's just all of a sudden he has a dawning moment of realization and knows the whole convoluted plot. Right?
well, there's like a little nod he sees
Yeah.
between the Hork-Bajir and Chapman that reading through it the first time, not knowing what that's about, was like inscrutable to me.
Yeah. Like they drop a couple of hints throughout that he's like, I should have known what was up, just to prep you that something is up. But yeah, it's
But I buy that he figures it out.
mhm.
I think that it all tracks, that he's like, this is
Yeah.
too much luck. I know what's going on here.
Yeah, and I think it also makes sense because in hindsight, it becomes very obvious to ask the question, like, why on earth would you think these humans weren't controllers? Like, the Yerks captured them, you saw it, and now you find them again and they're just free? They just, like, interrogated them and left them on the ship? They didn't infest? That's crazy. But I don't know, maybe you can forgive Elfangor for, like, in the middle of this chaotic battle sequence, just not really thinking of that until it was too late.
Yeah, isn't that what Visser says to him, basically? Is like, good thing you were all distracted about your stupid Taxxon friend and shit. So,
Yeah, he probably does say that.
yeah. Now, okay. Before, I mean, Well, let's just stick on this subject because that's really the main thing. The main thing that confused me, and I'm actually still not clear on this, and doesn't really matter either way. But the Hork-Bajir that's pretending to be Visser Subvisser 7,
Yeah, right. That's who he is right now.
is he's just a regular Hork-Bajir, or you think there's a Yeerk in his head?
There's
Like
a Yeerk in his head.
Okay,
Mr. 3 ordered a subordinate Yeerk. He was probably like, I'll torture you to death cruelly, like he always does with his subordinates. So you better jump out the airlock and die.
Yeah, it still seems like I don't know. Like, what is this Yeerks? It feels I don't like, I don't think Yeerks are so loyal to their cause that they're willing to die in that way. It seems more likely this Yeerk might have tried to, fuck around and survive somehow, but I guess he's committed. I don't know.
It does seem from the Hork-Bajir's reaction, or the Yeerk's reaction to the nod, like he looked like he was poised to fight, and then there was the nod with Chapman, and then he sags.
Right. He
Like
gives him a little shake of the head, like, don't you do it. No,
so like there's a chance that when he went in here, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna live through this. I'll pretend to be the Subvisor. They'll have their eyes on me, and then the Subvisor will infest, while he's whatever.
But what's his worst alternative that he'd rather just kill himself? Like, where's your sense of self-preservation, man?
I don't know. Visser 3 already in this series has talked about like drawing out Kandrona's starvation so that the fugue lasts like a month or something.
Yeah, you'll feed him to an anti-Yeerk, whatever those things are called.
Vanarks.
Thank you.
He can't turn into a Vanarks yet, though.
Right, of course.
So you'd have to find one.
Okay, so all that business is going on. It feels like it's written more complicated than it is, because I kept going back like, so wait, so was the Visser was always in this head or that head, and Alloran, was he like, it's not really that. There's just 2 Yeerks, or 3, and 1 in the Hork-Bajir, 2 in the people. Like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not that complicated. Yeah, it is. And it is in the middle of all this crazy stuff happening. So
yes, I mean, there's not a page of this book where crazy stuff is not happening.
Like, I will note, when I wrote down my little summary, I did definitely like clarify it. I did not write it down like in the order that things were revealed in the books. I like, because it'll be like, and then I realized what happened, and he doesn't tell you, and then a bunch of shit happens, and then they reveal what happened, and you're like, huh? And so when I wrote it down, I was just like, so he realized what happened. It was this.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Alloran is really kind of a rude dumbass. I don't fucking like. You know what? He deserves to be a Yeerk. Fuck this guy.
Alloran is a fucked up guy.
Is this really the time? I mean, even before the chemical warfare, the second they get on the ship, he's like, "Hey, why don't you fucking do what I say for once, idiot?"
Yeah. I like the part where Elfangor's like, "Isn't the time matrix the #1 priority?" And he's like, "No, killing all these Yeerks is. What do you think I've been doing while you've been going around trying to get the time matrix? I've been watching that ship full of Yeerks you didn't kill to make sure we were going to get a chance to kill him."
Yeah,
he's a little
crazy.
bit.
He is off the deep end.
Yeah, he is really fucked up.
So, I don't know. Alloran's got some issues for sure.
Yeah, he does. 100%.
I wonder what his home life is like. He probably beats his wife.
His wife's name is Jahar. He named his ship after her.
Oh, right. Of course.
Yeah.
I was just remembering because when they meet him in the Animorphs book, he's like, I said something about his wife, I think.
Oh, yeah. He's like, send a message to my wife or whatever.
Yeah,
Tell her I love her, or I don't know, whatever it is.
I mean, I'm not going to get too much into. I have more questions about, like, is it why the Hork-Bajir is able to speak perfect Gallard? It's just English they struggle with. You know what I mean? I don't, like, on Earth, they're always speaking in broken English, but there's none of that here. I don't.
But again, remember, Visser 1's Hork-Bajir speak perfect English.
Oh, so it's just that they're shitty Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, I think Visser 3 just doesn't train his guys.
Okay, so maybe that's what it is. But sure, okay, yeah, that's fine. there was a funny part where I guess it was the Yerk. I guess this was another tip off, but they're like, "Come on, Chapman! I can't believe you were gonna sell out Earth to us." And he was like, "Hey, I'm just a dumb kid. What do I know?" Actually, he says, "I don't think I even realized it. I took this note and I don't think I went back." But the line is, "Look, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just a dumb human kid. Okay, give me a break."
Fortunately, Andalites don't think that's suspicious.
No, I didn't either. I was like, man, this Chapman's really self-aware about himself. This is so weird.
Yeah, wouldn't it have been nice if he was self-aware and he learned to be a good person based off of this? That would have been great. But no, instead, he's actively deciding to be like, okay, I'll let Visser and he lets Visser 3 infest him because after Visser 3 gets an Alloran, he doesn't grab a Dracon beam and blast him. He grabs a Dracon beam and is getting ready to stun Elfangor. Like
Yeah.
he's got a deal going on.
Now, I mean, I am reserving final thoughts on Chapman to see what happens in part 3,
Mhm.
but yes, there's really, I'm very confused about the Chapman stuff.
Yeah.
It does not make sense right now in the
Yeah,
larger scheme of
it
these
works
books.
so much better if you just assume this is some other guy who happens to have the exact same name,
But that's the
who she just
dumbest
picked up.
fucking
Yeah.
thing.
Like, she just should have named him anything
Maybe it's his
else.
brother. That could be. Maybe it's Chapman's
Hmm.
brother. I don't know.
It could be
But now,
Chapman's brother.
okay, I mean, I guess I will kind of get into it. Like, if we're assuming this is the Chapman, like, so now, I mean, I guess Visser already knows about all this stuff, but like, he has the Yerks have all the info about the time matrix. They
Hmm.
just, I don't know. It just creates a lot of questions about things, but I guess maybe they answer themselves if you think about it enough, which I don't want to.
Yeah, some of them probably already do. Some of them might answer themselves in the third part. Well, we can talk about all of that when we get to the ending of the actual book, and you know, because I
Yeah.
would have to, if I were to try to like to talk about that, I'd have to parse out like what do we know already, what don't we know already.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good stuff, thematic stuff here about the nature of war and whether or not it's possible to be decent in war.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's pretty deep shit.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I really like here um is that so Visser 3 actively says when he's gloating to him. He says you know if you had tried to kill those Yerks, right? Like I can tell a subordinate to kill himself, but I can't let 10,000 Yerks die or whatever it is, right? Yerk High Command would execute me, even if I got like Alloran as a controller. If you had actually tried to do it, I would have had to try to stop you. I couldn't have sat around and let you do it and waited for my opportunity. And then, you're two Andalites warriors. You would have stopped me. I'm in a human morph. I couldn't have done it. And I never would have done this. If you hadn't spared those Yerks, Visser 3 never would have existed. So I really like that they set up this moral choice. Do you kill them or not? And then they immediately position Alloran, the guy in favor of doing it, as like the crazy, mad, insane, over the top guy, right? Like this is the classic straw man, right? Like, oh, we've got some ethical argument, but fortunately, the guy on the other side from me, he's crazy, right? He's just a mad, insane blood. Like this is that kind of straw man. This is like we made the bad guy Killmonger so that we didn't have to engage with his political question. But then when it's all over,
I don't hear you
uh,
coming for Killmonger right now. Go on.
but I mean, you know what I'm saying, though, right? Or Magneto, right? Like he's got a real
Mhm.
point, but then they just make him a little too over the top.
Mhm,
You know
mhm,
what I
mhm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so they've got that, but then when Elfangor makes the choice that's been clearly positioned to be ethically correct, it turns out that's actually the choice that fucked over the whole galaxy, right? And he just should have, if he'd just blown those Yerks up, they would, Visser 3 wouldn't have existed, and they could have just killed him, and it would have been done and over, and it would have been better for everybody, right? And so doing, what the book posits is the ethical thing just ends up being practically worse. And I really like that they do that. I like that the book doesn't want to give you an easy out on it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if he didn't, but then there would be no Animorphs, and I feel like the Animorphs are instrumental in winning the war,
Mm.
presumably. So if you take it to his further out conclusion, maybe it is a good thing.
Yeah,
But I
it's
don't know. But yeah, for sure. There's definitely it's very morally gray. There's not.
yeah.
I mean,
That
I
is yeah.
wouldn't. It's not. I wouldn't like blame. I. I think I'm behind Elfangor here. I don't know. It's at least I don't begrudge him his choice. I don't know
Mhm.
what I would do in that situation, but
Elfangor's kindness.
yeah,
Yeah.
Elfangor's
No,
choice.
yeah, this is my I mean this is one of my favorite things about Animorphs is that it doesn't give you easy answers to these questions, right? It wants you to understand that there's no like in the real world there's no easy answers to these questions. It doesn't want to just give you some bland like, oh, just do the right thing and it'll all work out kind of thing that you would see in most other kids series.
That's interesting because my favorite thing about Animorphs is when Marco says something funny.
I mean, that's why I said one of my favorite things about Animorphs.
Oh, okay. Because and I also another favorite thing is when they turn into a bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
fun.
mean, how can you not like the bear parts?
Yeah.
And I like when they eat from the tall fit too, of course.
And the Canver.
And the canver and the loo hack.
Now, all right. Now I want to say let's wrap this up. Which I mean, there are a couple more crazy things that occur, but they're almost like I don't really know how to grapple with them yet. So
Yeah, there's but I do while we're on the topic of Hork-Bajir,
are
I
we?
do want to take just a minute to come back to the fact to come back to like the implications of Alloran's use of biological weapons, right? The
Sure.
quantum virus.
I guess that merits a bit more examination.
Yeah, like it doesn't need a ton yet, but I do think like it's worth reflecting on technically one book ago in the change, right? Technically, sort of. Um, you know, we see the Hork-Bajir like, yeah, Andalites, they kill Hork-Bajir, they kill you, like, fuck them. They're not our saviors. And Axe is like, how dare you? Like, we tried to save you just because we failed, whatever. And I think this gives some perspective on maybe why the Hork-Bajir don't see Andalites as their saviors, right?
Yeah.
Um, like that they're not saying, well, they tried to help. It was this Alloran guy who was in charge of it.
Yeah. And now he's their fucking commander, too.
Yeah,
Like
and now he's their commander too.
he
That certainly
fucked
didn't
them
help.
as a Hork-Bajir, and he fucks them now as Hork-Bajirs with Yerks in their heads.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, we can bring it back to that and see that like Axe's views and regular Andalite views, Elfangor's views here are on the war are pretty naive. Like
Well,
he doesn't
presumably
really know what Andalites do.
it's not public knowledge that this was used. Axe doesn't
Yeah.
know.
No, no. I mean, like, I think I brought up already, but Elfangor says here, I'd heard that as a rumor.
Right.
Everybody knows that's just Yerk propaganda. Like, the Yerks
Yeah.
say we did these horrible things, but everybody knows they're liars anyway. Like, we didn't do that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but they
And
did.
they don't really get into the exact nature of how the quantic
Yeah,
virus or whatever it is works, but oh, no, well, they
yeah,
did say it like slowly dissolves their molecules or some shit.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's a pretty fucked up. I do like that. It is, yeah, it is kind of good that the Yerks almost have like the moral high ground in this instance.
yeah.
They're like, look, we're the fucking Yerks. Even we aren't pulling that shit.
Right?
Like, we have a line, for Christ's sakes.
There's a reason why that Hork-Bajir playing Subvisor 7 was like, oh shit, when he found out it was Alloran.
Yeah, right.
He
Yeah.
fucking knows what Alloran was up to.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, if you're a Hork-Bajir, you don't have love for either of these fucking species.
Yeah,
They're like, fuck both of them. They're mom and dad fighting over you, and you're the kid. You're just like,
yeah,
get fuck off. You know how kids say that?
right. I know how kids say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
well,
they're like, fuck off.
that is how they do it.
Yeah.
I
Or sometimes they're like, pay me your rent money, bitch. Remember the landlord? Give me
I
your
don't.
money, motherfucker. With Will Ferrell.
Oh, I don't watch Will Ferrell movies.
It's not a movie. It was the Funny or Die sketch with. It
Oh,
was a
I
viral
didn't watch
internet
that either.
video. It was a viral. There's a little girl as the landlord, and she's
Okay.
chewing out Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I never saw any of that.
It's like a classic from like 2006 or 2005 or something. It's
Okay.
Pearl, I believe, is the name of the little girl.
Okay. I'm glad we've got that established.
Yeah.
So I guess we can like start to wrap this up, right?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right.
Just wrap it the fuck up.
So they've been going around in circles in Z space, right? Elfangor took off into Z space. He got away. They've been going around in circles for days now. So Lauren is free of her Yerk too, because they don't have any Kandrona arrays. We get some more like conversations between Elfangor and Lauren, just so you remember that they definitely want to fuck each other. Like we haven't really seen that yet this book, and like obviously you don't want to forget.
Mm-hmm.
So Elfangor knows there's like a tracker on the ship, so he knows if he goes back to real space, and I guess he has to go back to real space if he wants to use the time matrix too. They say whatever, but if he goes back to real space, the Yerks will know where he is, and they'll get caught. So he realizes, oh, I can spring a trap, right? They'll do anything to get this time matrix. So he's gonna pop into real space in the Gracia Nebula, which I did look is not a real nebula, just in case. Sometimes they have weird names.
Not that we've discovered yet, but yeah.
Not that we've discovered yet. They come in the Gracia Nebula, where the Star Sword, if you recall earlier from Book 1, his old dome ship, was set to be meeting up with another dome ship. And he figures, we come into space with 2 dome ships, the Yerks will show up, the dome ships will kill them all. But when they come in, the Andalites are under attack by these like living asteroids. These like rocks flying around space that seem to absorb all of their energy beams and power sources, and they just like grow over ships and consume them. And even the dome ship, like Death Star type firepower, doesn't blow them up. Like they just absorb that too. And the Yerks pop into space in the middle of this crazy battle. So now we've got Yerk ships in here. We've got Andalite ships. We've got all of these asteroids running around. I did kind of want to stop a little bit just to talk about the Lauren and Elfangor moments here, but there's not that much more to the book.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren and Elfangor, they have just some discussions about flatties and cubies.
Yeah, which seems like it's a reference to the like old Flatland book, maybe.
Oh, I wouldn't know, but maybe. Yeah, I mean this before too, but this keeps coming up, and I don't know if I fully know your position on it or what the truth is, but once again they do refer to they talk about the Elamists, and they do refer to them as an entire species of Elamists. Just throwing that out there. That's been pretty consistently stated so far.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the Andalites don't necessarily know.
Right, which is what we've said before too, but I'm just it's.
I mean, look, there was a species of Elamists in a sense. That this is still true from the Allamist Chronicles. That's not wrong.
Okay, all right. I just can't help but think about it every time they bring it up.
Yeah, it's always confusing, and it's very clear that she doesn't know what she's going to write in those chronicles yet at this point.
Right. I can't. I don't know how she knew what she was going to write in this book. Right. Given the time frame.
You recall what I said in book 11? Literally 3 books earlier than this, there was that quote that was like, she said when she got here, she thought she ran out of ideas, and it's right. And then she fucking dumps this shit out.
Yeah, it's remarkable. But so yeah, the flatties and cubies, yeah, it's some fun little like theoretical science talk of explaining elemists and you know.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know anything else. What do you want to say
I,
about it?
I just wanted to be like this. He says some stuff about how space time has 10 dimensions and
Right, of course, as we
nerd
all know.
thing. This feels like she's trying to reference some like old 90s and aughts like string theory BS that like everybody was all excited about, but it isn't really taken that seriously anymore because it never panned out and isn't really experimentally verifiable in its current form. And it feels like it aged badly to me. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm stupid, so none of that means anything to
Uh,
me.
I'm not that well versed in this either, to be honest. If anybody actually knows their shit, they could probably tell me I'm dumb. But
So the asteroids, which I like to think of as vermicious knids.
oh, what is that from? I know that phrase. What the hell is that?
Those are the aliens in uh, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, the sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate
Okay,
Factory.
okay.
They go into space and there are these like weird aliens that are like little monstrous aliens that eat
Okay.
stuff. And that's what I kept thinking about.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I've told you before, I'm not well versed in Roald Dahl's
that's our
works,
next
so that's
podcast, the
yeah, that is
Dollcast.
our next podcast, is the Dollcast.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
I'd
yeah.
heard of them, but I didn't really know. So okay, so that's why that's familiar.
But yeah, I just like I was kind of saying before, I just don't these asteroids. I don't understand them. It seems like maybe we're gonna get more of them in the next part, and if so, maybe it seems better to just save the discussion of them for later. But
No spoilers; these asteroids don't matter. We won't really
okay,
get more of them in the next part.
what
They're
the
just here.
fuck are they? I don't understand.
They're just living asteroids.
This is insane. They just drop the concept. I mean, we didn't even. I kind of preempted. You didn't like really say what happens, but yeah, they teleport back and a bunch of fucking asteroids start eating shit. Like
Yeah,
I'm
they're
like
like
what?
killing Andalite, they're like bursting ships open. There's like a graphic scene where some Andalite like flies out of his ship into space and suffocates and dies, and they watch him as the asteroid destroys it, or like eats his power sources or something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I what to make of these. I this was again. These scenes. I feel like I read it 3 times because I was just trying to visualize what the fuck was happening. Like I just didn't understand what are there something in the asteroids? Are they ships? Are they creatures? What I it was so weird to me.
I mean, it seems clear that nobody fucking knows. Like, none of these Andalites have any idea what the hell these things are. They're just here.
It doesn't help that Andalite perspective, they're like, oh, it's an asteroid. That could mean I don't know what the fuck that means because they have weird ways of describing things. But
Yeah. I mean, I think it is funny where it's like, yeah, you get the Andalite perspective, but they don't actually know either. Like, that it doesn't help.
so, all right,
I,
yeah, I guess
now,
I just don't know what to say about him except that I don't know
yeah,
what the fuck's going on.
when you read the descriptions, it feels like they just look like rocks, right? Except that they change directions and smash you and move around and stuff. As a kid, I always imagined them as having like mean bullet bill type faces on them. They're like, "Arrrr."
Yeah, it feels like it does feel unnecessary.
Yeah,
We're in the final stretch here. We have our big action scene. You already had the Yerks. We are coming. Why did we also need these things? That like it's just we really need another fucking batshit sci-fi concept to understand in the span of two
yeah.
pages?
And you're like not even really supposed to understand it. They're just supposed to come out, no one knows what it is, and everything's fucked up.
Yeah. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with that, but I don't know. Let's get to the ending so we can finish.
If you're sure. I did want to point out a couple of the specific Lauren and Elfangor moments
Well, I
because
thought we were past that already.
all right, fine, fine.
What do they do that's so important to you?
They literally set a date to go to Yosemite together and are like putting their arms around each other. Like, this is the horniest scene of the book. You spent a lot of time talking about how horny they were for each other in part 1. Like, this
It
is
wasn't horny
man.
enough for me.
Well, now it better be.
No, this didn't meet my standards. A date
Okay.
in Yosemite? Fuck off.
All right, fine. Maybe in part 3 it'll escalate to your standards. When we have the graphic pen.
Yeah,
You know the scene at the end of It?
I do.
Okay, well that's basically what happens.
Okay.
Okay. You know, you got Visser 3 and Chapman and Elfangor, right? Anyway. Okay, well fine. Final action scene. You know, it's this last wrap it up. Sub Visser 7, now Visser 32, right?
Okay, can we he's Visser 32 now.
Yes, they promote him all the way to Visser 32.
Okay. I don't know if I don't know. Sometimes my versions of these books are fucked up because there was one part in here when he says, in my copy, it just says Visser 2.
He's definitely not Visser 2.
And then it said 32 a bunch later, and I was so fucking confused. Like, did he get demoted in the middle of this chapter?
You're the one over here telling me to wrap it up because we can't talk about the Animorph sex, and now you're like, well, what if there's a number that's slightly wrong?
I had to clarify because I didn't know what number he was, okay? This is what's important to me.
Okay, I'm glad we figured out what part of the series enthralls you.
I thought he was a Visser 2. That was
He's Visser 32.
Okay. Well, see, now I know this was an error. That's a big fucking error to have in this fucking book.
That is a big error, and you need to use a better version. I sent you a better version.
No, that I didn't realize. We don't need to get into this.
Okay.
The one I have is fine, and I'd like to thank Unknown for transcribing this.
All right.
Go ahead.
It's another big action scene, but I don't know that there's that much to talk about other than just say what happens. Visser 32 is taunting him over the communications, like, haha, being his Visser 3 self. Lauren pretends to still be a controller, and she shoots Elfangor with the shredder in low power, so that tricks Visser 32 into thinking it's safe to board. There's like a minor scuffle where Chapman tries to fight him and, hurts Elfangor, and we get a cool scene where Lauren beats him up, like she does like a high kick. Yeah, girl power, it's fun. Visser 3 boards, a whole bunch of Hork-Bajir come on. There's like a firefight with Lauren shooting the gun. She's like doing all the stuff now because Elfangor's injured. But she gets stunned too, and Visser 3 thinks, Visser 32 thinks he's about to win, and Elfangor uses the chance to fire the Jahar shredders directly into the blade ship at point blank, and it blows holes in both ships, and it sucks him out into space, and he's basically sacrificing himself to destroy Visser 3. And our final scene is Elfangor, like, drifting out of consciousness in space.
Yeah.
That's the end of this part.
It's, I two things about this book. First thing, part 2 of the Andalite Chronicles really is, I have to say, the Empire Strikes Back of the Andalite Chronicles. Don't you think?
In the sense that you find out that Alloran was Elfangor's father?
Yeah, and I assume in part 3 we're going to find out Lauren is Elfangor's twin sister.
Right. Yeah. We find it because Elfangor's been sort of talking about his younger sister who disappeared with the golden fur.
Yeah. And just in general, I really just have wrap-up thoughts at this point. The final action scene is like, whatever.
It's just an action scene.
We're going to pick up there next part anyway.
Yeah.
this really, like, these books the Animorphs books tend to have a trajectory from like exposition to action.
Mm-hmm.
this this book really ramps the action up and does not let up.
No,
Like,
it does not.
this is an action heavy book,
Yeah.
which is kind of fun. I mean, it's a lot, but you're not bored.
No. You certainly are not bored.
There's shit happening all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mhm.
No, please continue.
The only other thing is I gotta tell you, I have to say, after reading these 2 parts 2 weeks in a row, I kind of miss the Animorphs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, Elfangor's okay, but I relate more to humans. I, I just, it does feel a little bit like when we go back, I'm gonna be like, I missed you, Jake, buddy. I
Well,
kind of
be
want to know what's
Cassie.
going on Earth.
You're gonna get Cassie to start.
Okay, well, maybe
And
I'm
there's
okay.
gonna be a couple of skunks.
I'm okay
And there
staying
might
here
be a
little
lot
longer.
of skunks. It might be an entirely skunk book.
I might take my words back. We'll see. But yeah, it's another part 2. I think I maybe liked part 1 a little more. It was part 2 has it's more action heavy, like I said, and I guess I didn't like what they're doing with Taxxons, because Taxxons are pieces of shit. And it's a little bit more, it's more techno babble. I thought part 1 had a little bit more character driven stuff in it.
Yeah, part 1 is definitely the like building character relations, and then part 2 is where we get all the grand epic action sequences.
But I think
Right.
like if this was a movie, then this might be my favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this being a trilogy, right? I could see the Andalite Chronicles being a legit trilogy, with the first one, being this like slower, more character-based thing, and the second one being this grand action set piece. And then the third movie, well, we're going to see about that.
We're going to see.
I'm going to tell you right now, thinking about this from your perspective, doesn't it kind of feel like we're basically done? Like, we have all the pieces are together. We got the Time Matrix, we got Elfangor, we got Visser 3. It feels like we're at a climax point, and this just needs to resolve this, and then we're done, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, there's still about a third of this book left.
Sure
is. Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, hold on to your hat, because this next section might be the most insane thing written in Animorphs so far.
How is that even possible?
I mean, I guess it depends on your perspective of what it means to be insane, but like, it's going places.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Like, if somehow this is the James Cameron, that's going to be the David Lynch.
That's what I was going to say. What the fuck? Well, we will see. We've somehow made this episode actually longer than the first part of the book.
I have less written than last time.
How is that even? It's because you had to go on a fucking 14-minute rant about how much you want to fuck a Taxxon.
It's not. Listen, I told you.
It's always your fault.
I told you in like episode 1 that I was gonna have this moment, and it was gonna be in the Andalite Chronicles. You knew it was coming. Now it's out of the way. It's not on the horizon. We won't have to. Well, we might deal with Taxxon, but
okay. Let's
once we get into like the 40s.
Real quick, pop culture references. We've covered most of them already. Most of them are all in one scene. The Mustang, the Rolling Stones song, specifically "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" and "Honky Tonk Blues." Is it just called "Satisfaction"? Maybe "I Can't Get No's" in parentheses. I don't know.
I think that's right with the parentheses.
Dr. Pepper, which is written in all caps. And finally, when they're talking about some mythical earth creatures, Lauren also shouts out hobbits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's it. And that is the part 2 of the book.
That's part 2 of the book.
Now,
if that wasn't enough for people,
mm-hmm.
where might they find more of you?
Oh, wow. Well, I was first going to say, you can let us email us at theyerkyboys at
Oh,
gmail.com
more of
or
us,
follow
even.
us. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at theyerkyboys.
Mm,
Let us know if you sympathize with Taxxons or not.
you do.
And I feel like most people will probably not be on your side, but you can also follow me on Twitter at Quentz, and you're fine. I have another podcast called Geeks on Trial you can listen to. Okay, I'm done.
All right, and yeah, I'll be quick too. You can follow me on Twitter at DogTimesMcGee. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be discussing the Andalite Chronicles Part 3, An Alien Dies, in which the Jahar gets sucked into a black hole on the Yerky Boys.